Your build is trash. It can't do 200% delirium, 16 bosses attacking you at once, and I lost 1 HP, which means this build sucks now. Okay, listen up. I've gone back to the lab and I've changed a lot of the builds so you guys can run the most optimized, strongest, craziest, kill pinnacle bosses in 5 seconds or less, kill 200% delirium, T16 ultra juiced, irradiated in the same amount of time. This build can do it all. All right, so let's jump into what's changed on the build by doing the actual gear first. And of course, we are running Nebulok, we are running Amor Mandragora, we are running Blistering Bond. Those are the 3 big uniques that you need to run for this build to work effectively. And if you're wondering what is generating the endurance charge to critically hit, that is going to come from Ferocious Roar, which we will get into when we go into these skills. Now, I do have a twice corrupt on Blistering Bond. I don't know how I get so lucky with these things. I literally have a Val Orb poster sitting on my desk. That's how lucky I know I am with corrupts. And I've got the 14% increased rarity and then 10% to all elemental resistances. You, however, don't need to have this. You can just get a standard Blistering Bond. Then, of course, we have the new Exceptional Soldier Cuirass that I promised you guys that I would upgrade because the other one I just grabbed any one that I could get and I twice corrupted it and it's now 19% of damage taken recouped as life. So another tiny layer of defense for us in those 200% juice deli maps. And my shield, the Onslaught Wing, is now twice corrupted as well. I haven't changed anything else with like the gloves or the belt or the amulet or the ring. So if you've seen the previous videos, you'll understand what kind of gear I'm running with. Now, moving on, we have Beetle Bite Velour shoes. I did not know that these existed and I should have known because I would have ran this from the beginning. 35% increased movement speed. Be aware you can get one on the market that is lower than that, so you want to make sure you get 35% increased move speed because nobody likes to feel slower. But the big ticket item on this is aggravate bleeding on enemies when they enter your presence. If you guys have been following along with the build, you remember that we were using Herald of Blood in order to get the 58% chance to aggravate bleeding on hit. However, it only applied to the explosion portion of Herald of Blood. This applies all the time. So that means when we're standing next to a pinnacle boss or a T16 boss or any enemy really, we're getting the aggravate bleeding, which helps our build tremendously. As far as the charms go, we're running Follow the Axe Silver Charm and Rite of Passage. We are using the Spirit of the Boar because we get 20% of damage as extra fire damage, always inflict bleeding, and then 20% reduced damage taken. This is going to help the build overall. Anytime you see fire damage from here on out, I want you to think to yourself bleed damage because of this ring. This line right here, fire damage contributes to bleeding magnitude, means that our fire damage is going to make our bleed stronger. This ring has been so slept on. Who just wrote it off and it's worth like an exalt. It's worth like 2 exalts right now or something like that. It's so minuscule. But if you can layer it together with something like this, it's cracked. I love this ring. So still running Laviangas, by the way, and stuff like that. So if you've watched the previous videos, grab one that at least has 62 mana or above, or else you're gonna, Shield Wall itself is kind of an expensive skill. If you can watch my mana dip down really hard, this helps out a lot. And then having Leech as physical mana on a ring is super important. But let's jump into skills. Let's jump into the new stuff. If you want to see how the build got here, you can go to my channel and look at all the other videos. Ferocious Roar, we want to look at the socketed Warcry version because we are not using just the regular version. Once we socket a Warcry, it then changes and we have all of this increased damage. We have attacks empowered by socketed skills deal 84% increased damage, 84% increased damage, and then you can get the additional effects from quality. Then we're socketing in Infernal Cry because Infernal Cry gives empowered attacks gain 47% of damage as extra bleed damage, right? Then we have Raging Cry, which grant 4 rage per 5 power of counted enemies in range. And then Exposure And then we have gain 25% of damage as extra fire damage. Then as we move on to Shield Wall, you can see that we have a major addition to the actual skill itself, which is going to be Stern's Ferocity. And I'll get into that in a second. Bleed 3, Life Leech 3, Super Critical, Rapid Attacks 2. These are the final gems that are going to stay in here 24/7. No more swapping for bosses, pinnacles, any of that. No swapping at all. We're just going to leave these gems because of our good friend Stern's Ferocity. Support Shield, skills that hit enemies, causing those hits to crush their targets, which lowers the PDR by 15%. And then additionally, causing any physical damage hits against those targets while crushed, right? Which is once they're hit, they get crushed to break their armor. So now this is an automatic armor break that's going to happen every single time. And then we have armor break, which lowers our physical damage as well. You can kind of see where this is going. Once we go to the skill tree, I'm going to show you where all of this ties together to make it a very nice explosive package to kill anything. Moving down, we are running Blasphemy. I'm with Repulsion. I'm sure you guys saw the spinning chaos tornado build they showcased. Shout out to that guy because he made a crazy combo here, which has definitely helped with our clear. And I've just changed it up to work for our build specifically. So you're gonna run a level 20 Repulsion, and then we're gonna use Exploit Weakness, which supported skills cannot break armor, but they do consume fully broken armor to deal 40% more damage. We're breaking armor all the time, so now we have 40% more damage added on top of that, which then goes into Living Lightning to spread that, and Hex Bloom. And if you remember, Repulsion itself is a physical skill. So because it's a physical skill, we can slap Life Leech 3 on it, which has given me a good amount of leech, I would say, when I'm killing mobs. The actual Repulsion itself is attaching to so many different mobs that it is giving a decent amount of life leech. But if you did not want to do that and you say, hey, I feel like the build is great, you know, I don't die ever, it's immortal, why do I need life leech? Well, then you could throw on Lightning Attunement, or you could do Overreach if you want the increased AoE for that. Another thing to note with Repulsion is the big reason beyond the fact that it's spreading a curse to every enemy is we're getting knockback. Knockback is so underrated for this build because when you put down a shield wall and everything is rushing towards you, you can get zerged. I've died in previous iterations of this build from getting zerged by like 200 million mobs. So with this and knockback, it gives you enough space, enough time to drop the shield wall and blow up everything. So as far as what weapon set that's going to be on, we are running Blasphemy on both weapon sets. Don't make the mistake of only putting it on one because it doesn't feel as good as having it running 24/7. And we do want the Life Leech to run 24/7 anyway. Then as we move down, we have Time of Need with Clarity 1, and that is on weapon set 1 only. And remember, my weapon set 1 is a more Mandragora, and Nebulock is on weapon set 2. Then we have Herald of Ash, which is going to be weapon set 2, and that is running Magnified Area 2, Fire Mastery, and Prolonged Duration. And then we have Charge Regulation, which is running on both in order to give us the 18% more armor and energy shield while we have an Endurance Charge, which is pretty much all the time. So that covers the skills. Let's jump straight into the passives. We're just blasting through this update video for you guys. The only thing that's really changed is I've removed some like straggling nodes, and I've gone down and grabbed these armor break nodes. So 20% increased damage against enemies with fully broken armor, 10% increased effect of fully broken armor. Like, these are great, right? But the real star of the show is going to be this one here, the Molten One's Gift. So 10 to fire resist, 15% increase in effective fully broken armor. Fully broken armor you inflict also increases fire bleed damage taken from hits. So when we start doing these things together, right, we start running the shield wall with Stern's Ferocity, right? We're breaking that armor and getting fully broken armor on pinnacle bosses, on enemies, everything. We then are increasing their fire damage taken bleed from hits, and that is scaling the bleed tremendously. So we have a ton of bleed scaling going on. We then have the aggravated bleeding from the boots, which makes it so you don't need to swap out gems.